The secrets of the embalming process, a sacred ritual of immortality. What did the Egyptians know about the human body that allowed them to preserve it so perfectly? Was it a scientific breakthrough, or was there something more spiritual at play? The mummification process was a closely guarded secret, known only to a select group of embalmers and priests. This sacred knowledge was passed down through generations and had to be performed with reverence and precision. There was no room for error when it came to preserving a person for the afterlife. At the core of the process was the removal of the internal organs. But why did the Egyptians remove the heart? The heart, in Egyptian beliefs, was the seat of the soul, the very essence of a person. And yet, it was often removed and discarded. This raises the question, did the Egyptians believe the heart was needed in the afterlife? Or was there a deeper, more symbolic reason for its removal? The embalming process involved a team of skilled workers. First, the body was washed and purified with oils and perfumes. Then came the delicate task of removing the internal organs, which were carefully preserved in canopic jars. The brain was removed through the nose, often with a hook, a gruesome task that was believed to be necessary to preserve the body's shape. Afterward, the body was covered with natron, a naturally occurring salt, which dried it out and preserved it for the long journey ahead. But this process was not just about science. It was also about rituals, prayers, and divine intervention. The body, once preserved, was wrapped in linen, and amulets were placed throughout the layers of bandages to protect the soul. The body was then placed in a tomb, surrounded by treasures meant to aid the soul in its journey. But did these practices truly work? Could the dead really live on, or was this all just a well-crafted myth to ease the fears of the living? We may never know for sure, but one thing is clear: the Egyptians were far ahead of their time when it came to the art of preservation. And what we're about to uncover about their methods may surprise you. The rise of mummification. How did the ancient Egyptians master the art? What made the Egyptians so obsessed with death? Was it fear, respect, or something else entirely? Could there have been a deeper purpose behind their intricate process of preserving the dead? In ancient Egypt, mummification was not just a method of preserving the body. It was a spiritual journey. The Egyptians believed that life did not end with death, but rather, the soul embarked on a perilous journey to the afterlife. Mummification was the safeguard that ensured this journey could take place. But how did they know to perfect this method so long ago? It began in the early days of Egyptian history, around 2600 BCE, when the Egyptians noticed something strange. Bodies that were buried in the desert climate would dry out and become preserved. This naturally occurring process of preservation gave rise to the idea of intentional mummification. But the Egyptians didn't just stop there, they perfected it. The first mummies were simple, crude attempts at preservation. Over time, Egyptian priests and embalmers refined the process, learning how to remove internal organs, dry out the body with natron salts, and treat the corpse with a variety of resins and oils. This process, however, was far more than just physical preservation. It was rooted in their belief system, a direct link between the body and the soul. But what was the true purpose of the mummification process? Did it go beyond simply preserving the body for the afterlife? What secrets did this intricate ritual hold, hidden beneath layers of linen and centuries of dust? The answer may be closer than we think. But before we reveal that, let's delve deeper into how the Egyptians managed to preserve the dead so meticulously. The secrets of the embalming process, a sacred ritual of immortality. What did the Egyptians know about the human body that allowed them to preserve it so perfectly? Was it a scientific breakthrough, or was there something more spiritual at play? The mummification process was a closely guarded secret, known only to a select group of embalmers and priests. This sacred knowledge was passed down through generations and had to be performed with reverence and precision. There was no room for error when it came to preserving a person for the afterlife. At the core of the process was the removal of the internal organs. But why did the Egyptians remove the heart? The heart, in Egyptian beliefs, was the seat of the soul, the very essence of a person. And yet, it was often removed and discarded. This raises the question, did the Egyptians believe the heart was needed in the afterlife? Or was there a deeper, more symbolic reason for its removal? The embalming process involved a team of skilled workers. First, the the body was washed and purified with oils and perfumes. Then came the delicate task of removing the internal organs, which were carefully preserved in canopic jars. The brain was removed through the nose, often with a hook, a gruesome task that was believed to be necessary to preserve the body's shape. Afterward, the body was covered with natron, a naturally occurring salt, which dried it out and preserved it for the long journey ahead. But this process was not just about science. It was also about rituals, prayers, and divine intervention. The body, once preserved, was wrapped in linen, and amulets were placed throughout the layers of bandages to protect the soul. The body was then placed in a tomb, surrounded by treasures meant to aid the soul in its journey. But did these practices truly work? Could the dead really live on, or was this all just a well-crafted myth to ease the fears of the living? We may never know for sure, but one thing is clear: the Egyptians were far ahead of their time when it came to the art of preservation. And what we're about to uncover about their methods may surprise you. The mummy's curse, myth or reality? Could something as ancient as a mummy really bring about a curse? Is there a deeper connection between the discovery of mummies and the mysterious deaths that followed? Or is it all just superstition? One of the most tantalizing elements surrounding mummies is the curse, an alleged supernatural force that brings misfortune, sickness, and death to those who disturb the resting places of the ancient dead. The most famous instance of this is the story of Lord Carnarvon, the British aristocrat who financed the excavation of King Tutankhamun's tomb in 1922. Shortly after the tomb was opened, Carnarvon fell ill and died mysteriously, leading to rumors that a curse had been unleashed. But could there be truth behind these tales? Were there strange, inexplicable occurrences tied to the discovery of mummies? Or could the curse be nothing more than a product of imagination, fueled by fear and fascination? The idea of a mummy's curse has been perpetuated in countless films, books, and documentaries. But could the cause of the mysterious deaths be attributed to something far more mundane? Could it be the bacteria, mold, and toxins that could have been trapped inside the tombs for thousands of years? The risks of handling mummies were well known by archaeologists, who often contracted illnesses after exposure to the ancient remains. But then again, the curse persists, continuing to grip our imaginations. Could there be something deeper at work? Or are we simply dealing with a tale as old as time, one that has been woven into the fabric of Egyptian history? King Tut's mummy, a royal enigma and the secrets of the Golden Tomb. What is it about King Tutankhamun's tomb that has captivated the world for nearly a century? Was his mysterious death truly as tragic as it seemed, or was there something more sinister behind it? In 1922, the world's fascination with ancient Egypt reached its peak with the discovery of King Tutankhamun's tomb. But what makes Tut's tomb so extraordinary is not just the riches within, it's the mystery surrounding his death. The young pharaoh, who ruled Egypt for only 10 years before his untimely death at the age of 18, became the focal point of a larger enigma. Was his death really the result of a chariot accident, as historians had once believed? Or was it something darker, a conspiracy shrouded in secrecy? Upon the opening of the tomb, archaeologists discovered incredible treasures: golden statues, jewel-encrusted chests, and a coffin made entirely of solid gold. But what stood out even more was the curse that seemed to follow those who dared disturb the tomb. Among them was Lord Carnarvon, who, just days after the tomb was opened, died under mysterious circumstances. Was it simply bad luck, or was there a dark force at work? King Tut's mummy was carefully examined, revealing startling details about his health and the circumstances of his death. Forensic analysis showed that he had suffered from a number of ailments, including a broken leg and malaria. But was this enough to explain the sudden and early demise of Egypt's boy king? Or was there more to the story than meets the eye? As scientists continue to unravel the secrets hidden within King Tut's tomb, one question remains: what really happened to the young pharaoh? Was his death an accident, or was he the victim of a political plot designed to keep Egypt's throne within a certain family line? The answers may lie buried within the tomb, just waiting to be discovered. Mummies' Secrets: Unlocking the Hidden Truths with Modern Technology. What can modern science teach us about the mummies of ancient Egypt? Can the latest advancements in technology reveal secrets that have been hidden for thousands of years? The discovery of mummies has always been an awe-inspiring event. But with the advent of modern technology, our understanding of these ancient remains has expanded beyond what was once thought possible. CT scans, DNA analysis, and even 3D imaging have allowed scientists to peer inside the mummies without disturbing the delicate remains, unlocking secrets that were once unimaginable. Take, for example, the case of the 3,000-year-old mummies discovered in the Valley of the Kings. Thanks to CT scans, scientists were able to study the mummies in unprecedented detail, revealing new insights into their age, health, and even their cause of death. For the first time, researchers could see fractures, diseases, and parasites that affected the mummies during their lives. One of the most fascinating uses of modern technology came in the form of DNA analysis. By extracting DNA from mummies, scientists have been able to trace the genetic lineage of some of Egypt's most famous families. In doing so, they discovered that many of the pharaohs were related to each other, sometimes even revealing the identities of long-lost royal figures. But these technological advancements don't just help uncover the lives of the pharaohs, they also hold the key to unlocking the mysteries of mummification itself. For example, how did the ancient Egyptians preserve bodies with such precision? Modern researchers are using ancient embalming fluids, combined with cutting-edge technology, to replicate the process and determine the exact methods used thousands of years ago. The question remains, how much more will modern science reveal about Egypt's mummies? Could it be that the answers we've been seeking for centuries are just around the corner, waiting to be uncovered by the hands of technology? The golden masks and sacred amulets. Why did the Egyptians go to such lengths? What was the true significance of the gold masks and amulets placed on the mummies? Did they really hold supernatural power, or were they symbols of something far deeper? When you think of mummies, what comes to mind? Most likely, the iconic golden death masks, gleaming with jewels and precious metals. These masks were not just beautiful works of art, they were deeply symbolic and filled with spiritual significance. But why did the Egyptians place so much value on these masks and amulets? Gold was considered to be the flesh of the gods, a material that could carry the soul to the afterlife. The famous golden mask of Tutankhamun, for example, is not only a stunning piece of craftsmanship but also a potent symbol of immortality. The face of the young king was immortalized in gold, ensuring that his soul would always be protected and revered. But what else was hidden in these treasures? Amulets were also carefully placed on mummies, each one imbued with specific magical properties. These objects were meant to ward off evil spirits, protect the soul, and aid the deceased in their journey through the afterlife. Some amulets were designed to represent gods, others to symbolize key concepts like strength, rebirth, and protection. But how did the ancient Egyptians know exactly what the dead would need for the afterlife? Was it a matter of belief, or did they have a deeper understanding of the spiritual world that we are only beginning to comprehend? As we study these objects today, we continue to wonder, were these artifacts truly magical, or were they powerful symbols of the Egyptian belief in eternal life? And, more importantly, what can they tell us about how the ancient Egyptians viewed the human soul and the afterlife itself? The curse of the mummies. Is there more to the myth? What is it that makes us so terrified of mummies? Is it the unknown, or something far deeper? Could the curse of the mummies be more than just superstition? The concept of the mummy's curse has been around for centuries, woven into the fabric of Egyptology, and perhaps even the collective unconscious. The idea that disturbing the tombs of the ancient dead would lead to death and disaster has gripped the imagination of many. But what if this curse is tied to something more than simple myth or legend? The most famous case is that of the opening of King Tutankhamun's tomb. The tragic deaths surrounding this event have led many to believe in the power of the curse. Lord Carnarvon, who funded the expedition, died shortly after the tomb's opening, and other members of the team also met untimely deaths. Was it coincidence? Or was there something more to this curse than meets the eye? For decades, scientists and archaeologists have debated whether the curse is simply a product of bad luck or if the tombs were actually dangerous, filled with deadly toxins and bacteria that could lead to illness or death. It's believed that the ancient Egyptians may have placed these warnings on tombs as a way to protect the sanctity of the burial sites, warning tomb robbers and intruders of the potential dangers inside. But could the curse be real? Or is it the result of the fear and fascination that these ancient artifacts elicit? There are those who believe that the curse continues to haunt anyone who dares disturb the resting places of Egypt's royalty, while others remain unconvinced. Could there be something more at play here, something beyond the physical and into the realm of the supernatural? Or is the true curse the obsession with uncovering these ancient, hidden worlds? The mummies' modern-day legacy. What have we learned from the past? What do the mummies of ancient Egypt still teach us today? How has the discovery of these ancient remains shaped our understanding of history, science, and even our own existence? The mummies of Egypt are not just relics of the past, they are windows into the lives of an ancient civilization that continues to captivate the world. But the true value of these mummies extends beyond their historical significance. Over the years, modern science has learned much from these ancient remains, and in turn, those lessons have changed the way we look at health, medicine, and even life after death. Perhaps one of the most astonishing discoveries has been the insight into the health of ancient Egyptians. Through detailed studies of mummies, scientists have uncovered evidence of diseases like arthritis, tuberculosis, and even cancer. These findings have provided valuable insights into how the ancient Egyptians lived, what they ate, and how their environment affected their health. The study of mummies has also influenced modern forensic science. The ability to determine the cause of death, study the effects of embalming, and uncover clues about ancient diets and lifestyles has allowed us to piece together the stories of people long gone. In some cases, scientists have even been able to recreate facial features and reconstruct the lives of ancient Egyptians using DNA and advanced imaging techniques. But the legacy of Egypt's mummies goes beyond medicine and science. These artifacts have inspired countless myths, stories, and films, cementing their place in popular culture. The mystery and allure of the mummies continue to intrigue us, reminding us that there is still so much to learn from the ancient world. How much more will we discover in the years to come? What secrets still lie hidden beneath the bandages and linen wrappings? The ancient Egyptians may have been long gone, but their mummies continue to shape our understanding of the past, and perhaps even the future. Mummification today. Are we still trying to preserve the dead? Is it possible that, in our modern world, we've found new ways to preserve bodies, not just for science, but for eternity? Could the ancient art of mummification still have a place in our world today? Mummification, once seen as an ancient art, has made a surprising resurgence in modern times. While we no longer embalm bodies in the same way the Egyptians did, the desire to preserve the human body for eternity persists. But how has modern technology redefined the ancient practice? Cryonics is perhaps the most striking example of how we have sought to preserve the human body. In this modern-day attempt at mummification, people choose to freeze their bodies in the hopes of being revived in the future, when medical technology may be advanced enough to cure whatever ailed them. The concept of immortality, something that drove the Egyptians to perfect their methods, continues to be a desire for many today. While we may not use resins, natron salts, or linen bandages in the same way, the underlying drive to preserve human life, or at least the memory of it, remains. The Egyptians believed that by preserving the body, they ensured that the soul would live on. And while modern science doesn't fully share that belief, we still perform acts of preservation, whether it's through embalming or storing DNA, for future generations to remember. Could the resurrection of the mummification process be a sign of something deeper? Are we, like the ancient Egyptians, trying to stave off the inevitable death? Or are we simply seeking to leave a lasting legacy, ensuring that we are remembered long after we are gone? The search for immortality, in one form or another, continues to define humanity's relationship with death and preservation. And while the methods may change, the questions remain the same. What does it mean to live forever? And how far will we go to ensure that we do? The final journey. What happens when a mummy is discovered? What happens to a mummy when it's uncovered? Is it simply a relic, or does it carry the echoes of its past with it? What stories do these ancient remains still have to tell? When a mummy is uncovered today, it is met with reverence and caution. Archaeologists and scientists handle these ancient remains with the utmost care, knowing that each one represents a life that once was. But what happens to these mummies once they've been discovered? Are they simply removed from their tombs, or do they undergo a journey of their own? For many mummies, the discovery leads to further study, as scientists continue to probe deeper into their history. CT scans, DNA tests, and careful examinations allow us to reconstruct the lives of those who lived thousands of years ago. We uncover their health conditions, their causes of death, and sometimes even their names. But what about their stories? Can a mummy really tell us who they were, or do we only see fragments of their existence? After the scientific study is complete, many mummies are returned to museums, where they are preserved for future generations. But the question remains, is it truly respectful to display these mummies as artifacts, or does it violate the sanctity of their burial? These mummies, once part of a grand civilization, are now symbols of a culture long gone. And though we continue to study them and uncover their secrets, they remain, in many ways, eternal. As we peer into their preserved faces, we are reminded of the fragility of life, and the mystery that surrounds us all. Conclusion. The mummies of ancient Egypt are more than just preserved bodies. They are the echoes of a civilization that shaped the course of history. Through their intricate embalming process, the Egyptians sought not just to preserve the dead but to ensure that their souls would endure for eternity. And even today, as modern science unravels the secrets of mummification, we are reminded of the Egyptians' mastery over death and preservation. From the tomb of King Tutankhamun to the legends of the mummy's curse, these ancient remains continue to captivate our imagination and fuel our curiosity. The discoveries made in the past century have transformed our understanding of both science and culture, and yet, the mysteries of mummification are far from fully solved. With each new revelation, we uncover more about how the ancient Egyptians lived, how they died, and the lengths they went to ensure that they were never truly gone. As we look to the future, the story of the mummies will continue to evolve. Whether through technological advances or continued exploration of Egypt's tombs, we remain captivated by the ancient art of mummification, and the powerful, haunting secrets it holds.